Hey everybody, Dan here with Pain Free You. Gorgeous day. Hope everybody's doing well. Alright, so today I wanted to talk about striving for conscious competence. I'll explain that in a minute. Hopefully the cicadas don't scream a lot. So what a gorgeous day. It's actually quite nice. Not too hot, especially in the shade. A little breeze. Loving it. Relax your body so that your breathing can take on a natural pace. Good. So, striving for conscious competence. And what do I mean by that? Did a video a while ago about the 4 stages of learning. This is a common thing. This isn't something I made up. This is something I've learned over the years. That when we're first trying to accomplish something, we don't even know what we don't know, right? So in the space of our world, TMS, perceived danger pain, we don't know what we don't know. We're chasing the medical route. We have symptoms or pains. And we are just struggling because all we believe is that we're broken, and we don't know that there's an alternative cause and reality for what's actually has turned on the pain and kept it going. So we don't know what we don't know. We call that unconscious incompetence. We're not conscious of how incompetent we are. We just don't even know what we don't know, right? So the next step in the progression of learning is conscious incompetence. And what that means is you're now starting to realize, oh, there's this thing called TMS and what I refer to as perceived danger pain. So now we're becoming consciously aware that there's a different reason for the symptoms, but we're incompetent because, okay, great, now what do I do about it? And in some case, the understanding that the brain is creating the symptoms can actually create additional fear because, okay, great, now the doctors and medical world is off the table. Now I got to figure this stuff out myself. And that can be pretty scary. So we've moved from not knowing what's going on, unconscious incompetence, to consciously being aware of what's going on, but still incompetent because we don't know what to do about it or how to get better. So now the third stage is really where I come in. Well, I actually help people understand what's going on to move you from step 1 to step 2 so that you become aware of what's going on, but yet you're still incompetent as to how do I fix it, what do I do next? And so really what I want you to do is strive to get to this next level, which is conscious competence. And that's where you actually say, okay, I know what's going on, and I also know what to do about it. You're consciously competent. Now at first, you're a little bit incompetent because you're trying and you're still falling prey to fear and worry and sometimes panic and freak out. But you're in between now, the consciously incompetent and moving towards consciously competent, which is knowing what to do and consistently doing that more and more often. Freaking out less and moving towards calm reassurance and even indifference at some point in the future. You're becoming consciously competent. And that's the zone where you want to play. Because you can't become unconsciously competent until you've spent enough time in the consciously competent realm. Meaning, you have to do this stuff consciously. We can't just read a book and hope that the subconscious gets it, right? We can't jump from not knowing anything about this to learning about it to, hey, my brain got the message. We have to play in the consciously competent space and make proactive, conscious decisions on a regular basis, consistent basis, to remain calm because we actually understand what's happening, right? We get it. We understand it. So now we can actually consciously choose to do things that are working towards our recovery, as opposed to unconsciously, by default, by habit, staying in the space of fear freak out, panic, worry, catastrophic thinking. Oh no, I'm never going to get better. So you see how these 4 stages of healing really lead us to learn what's going on. That'll take you from the unconsciously incompetent. And then that way you can start to understand consciously what you need to work on. So you're in that unconscious, or you're in the consciously incompetent. I know what's going on, but I still don't know what to do. And then when we start to proactively and consciously start to work on the things that are beneficial for us, that is how we absolutely start to move towards conscious competence. And with time, practice, repetition, subconscious brain picks it up and it starts to become your default, your normal. And it becomes unconsciously competent. And I will tell you, that works for anything. You know, when I was really spending a lot of time playing the guitar, sun's getting in my eyes. When I was spending a lot of time playing the guitar, I had to consciously think about where am I putting my fingers, what notes am I going to play, where do I want to go. But when I was really practicing a lot, I got to the point where I was unconsciously competent, meaning I could just sit down, figure out what key I was in, and start to improvise. I didn't have to think about what I was playing in, but my fingers just kind of went there. This is no different. This is all about repetition until it becomes habitual, the normal response. And an unconscious response, which is going to be, I'm good. That's where I am. If I end up with a symptom, I just simply call it out for what it is. I recognize what's going on. And then I default to, I'm not going to be bothered by it. And inevitably, anytime I get a symptom, it's extremely short-lived. I haven't had any chronic symptoms for a long time, 14 years. Nothing chronic. So, really, really important. Actually, that's not true. I had 6 weeks of neck, shoulder pain with some radiating down the arm. But I wouldn't even call 6 weeks chronic. Much longer than that, it becomes chronic. But that was the longest thing. And it was particularly attention-getting because it was difficult, couldn't turn my head, and I had radiating pain down my arm, so driving and all sorts of things got my attention. So in any event, we want to strive to be consciously competent, because if you keep on falling back into the consciously incompetent, that means you know what to do, but the fear is too strong and you're just going to fall back into panic and worry and disappointment and anger and sadness and despair. This is never going to work for me, right? So keep in mind this process of going from not knowing what's going on to learning what's going on, but not having practice or really know what to do about it, to becoming consciously competent, which means I know what to do about it and I'm starting to practice it. And that's really where we start to make the progress and start to notice the small wins, whether it be a mindset win first, or we move into actually seeing some shift in our symptoms. The more we can stay in the proper mindset of deep knowing, I've got this, I know that there's nothing wrong with me, and be consciously competent and stay calm the vast majority of the time, if not all the time, you're going to get faster results compared to the person who keeps on saying, but the symptoms are high today, so I need to panic today, right? You're basically aware of what to do, but you're not competent yet in applying these concepts in a consistent manner. And I will tell you, once you understand how this stuff works and what the appropriate response is and what the appropriate target mindset and emotional response is, it does become a choice. It's a difficult choice sometimes. And if symptoms are really kind of flaring, inevitably, it becomes even more difficult. But understand though, if symptoms are flaring, that simply means the brain is perceiving a higher degree of danger in this moment. The solution is not to continue to panic for weeks on end and then, be very, very upset that the flare-up is lasting weeks. The key is to call it out for what it is and say, this is just a brain perceiving danger. It's my nervous system. It's my brain which is running the nervous system. So my primary objective is to shift my response and do the right things most often. So I hope this really makes sense for you folks. Strive for conscious competence. And you do that consistently enough, it will become habitual and it will become the default, and then you'll be competent unconsciously, which is the goal, where you don't even have to think about it. That's just your natural response. So, hope you found this beneficial, and as normal, we will see you all tomorrow. Love you. Take care.